In the bustling village of UCHE, nestled in the emerald heart of Imo State, Nigeria, lived Chinedu, a young man whose name was synonymous with kindness. The red earth part of UCHE echoed with his laughter, despite the hardships he and his widowed mother faced since his father's death a decade ago. Their mud brick home, with its creaking tin roof, stood as a testament to their resilience, but Chinedu's spirit shone brighter than the harmattan sun. His true gift was his cooking. His jollof rice, smoky and spiced, could silence a noisy market. His egusi soup, thick with melon seeds and scent leaves, made elders hum ancestral songs at village feasts. Chinedu's closest friend was Amoka, a girl from a neighboring compound. They'd been inseparable since childhood, stealing mangoes from the tree behind the Anglican church, racing bicycles down dusty slopes, and once getting scolded for sneaking roasted corn into their village school classroom. Their laughter mingled like palm wine and kola nut, and to UCHE's people, Chinedu and Amoka were a love story waiting to bloom. Chinedu felt it deeply, often resting his head on her shoulder as they sat under the Udola tree outside her mother's hut, dreaming of a future where their laughter filled a shared home. The village moon seemed to wink at them, sealing their unspoken bond. Mama Ngozi, Amoka's mother, adored Chinedu like her own son. "This boy will be my in-law," she'd tease, her voice booming over the clatter of pots. Every market day, Chinedu was at her compound, pounding yam with a rhythm that rivaled the village drummers, fetching firewood from the bush, scrubbing pots with sand until they gleamed, and sweeping the yard while Amoka's siblings scampered about, calling him Oga, their playful term for our husband. Amoka never spoke of love or marriage, but her gestures, buying him a bar of Lux soap when he's run low, sharing airtime for his battered Nokia, or gifting him a crisp kaftan for Easter, planted seeds of hope in Chinedu's heart. He was certain she was waiting for the right moment to confess what he already believed. His friends, Emeka and Uche, were skeptical. One evening, as they lounged by the village boho, buckets clanging, they pulled him aside. "Chinedu, this Amoka matter, you sure she's serious? Has she said 'I love you' with her mouth?" Emeka asked, his brow furrowed. Uche added, "Brothers, women can waste your time like drafts game. You're cooking for her family like a houseboy." Chinedu laughed, his voice light as palm fronds. "Amoka's not like that. Her actions speak louder than words. She's just quiet, but she knows what she's doing." They shook their heads, muttering, "No you sobi," their pity thick in the humid air. Mama Ngozi's words fueled Chinedu's dreams. She'd tell neighbors, half joking, "Chinedu is the one I want for my Amoka." He clung to these words like a kola nut offered in prayer, envisioning a life where he and Amoka shared a compound filled with the aroma of his soups. Families began seeking him for their daughters, drawn to his kindness and culinary prowess. One Christmas, a palm oil trader's family arrived with their daughter Adis, praising Chinedu's jollof at the village festival, saying, "A man who cooks like that must have a good spirit." Chinedu's mother, eager for a prosperous match, beamed, but Chinedu asked for time, later saying he was praying about it. Another time, a teacher's family brought their daughter Kolechi, bearing palm wine and biscuits, but Chinedu politely said his spirit hadn't agreed. Villagers whispered he was too picky for a boy whose mother sold roasted plantain, but Chinedu didn't care. He remembered Amoka's fierce loyalty when she defended him against a rude boy from a neighboring village during a football match. "Let me wait a little more," he thought. When Amoka announced she'd secured a chance to trade fabrics in Lagos's Balogun market, Chinedu's heart swelled with pride. This was progress, a step toward the life they could build. But as she packed her wrappers, her eyes bright with ambition, his chest tightened. "Take care of Mama for me," she said, hugging him tightly, her coconut oil scent lingering. "I'll send something when I settle." Chinedu nodded, smiling through tears, weaving as her boss rumbled out of UCHE. He stood until the dust settled, his heart heavy but hopeful. At first, Amoka called every weekend, her voice crackling through his phone. "How's Mama? How's UCHE?" she'd ask. Chinedu shared every detail, how the price of Gary spiked, how the church choir needed new robes, or how a neighbor's goat ate someone's yam. She'd laugh, describing Lagos's chaos, honking downfalls, crowded markets, and the stress of haggling. Chinedu felt close to her again, treasuring each call like a rare kola nut. He watched his phone like a dibia awaiting a vision, certain she'd return to make their bond official. Slowly, Amoka's calls dwindled, like rain in harmattan. Airtime stopped coming, and her messages shrank to rare good morning texts, often only on Sundays. Emeka and Uche noticed Chinedu's long face. "Brothers, Lagos changes people," Uche said, sipping palm wine. "She's probably found a big man with a Benz." Chinedu shook his head. "Amoka's different. She's just busy. He clung to memories of her peeling oranges for him by the stream, her laughter a melody he couldn't forget. Chinedu poured his heart into cooking for the village. He stirred pots of ofnsola for Nkechi's wedding, pounded yam for Uche's cousin's marriage, and even helped at the wedding of Chioma, who once mocked his stew in home economics class, only to praise it years later. The smoke stung his eyes, the sun scorched his back, but he never complained, cooking as if each pot held his dreams. He believed his wedding would come, when others would cook for him. Families kept seeking Chinedu for their daughters. A trader from Owerri brought his daughter Neoma, saying her family tasted his vegetable stew at a festival and knew he was blessed. Chinedu's mother, dreaming of a secure future, urged, "This one has a good family, Chinedu." But he asked for time, later saying he wasn't ready. Then came a civil servant family with their daughter Ojeki, bearing kola nuts and schnapps. Chinedu smiled and said his spirit hadn't agreed. Villagers gossiped, calling him proud for a boy whose mother roasted plantain by the roadside. But Chinedu held fast, remembering Amoka walking him home after choir practice, her hand brushing his as they laughed under the stars. Let me wait a little more, he thought. His cooking became his solace. He woke before dawn for every village event, weddings, burials, naming ceremonies. He roasted peppers, washed bitter leaf, pounded egusi, and stirred pots big enough for a village council, his hands moving with ancestral grace. Even when fire would smoke redden his eyes, he smiled as if he were the groom, believing his day would come. Chinedu's mother grew worried as time passed. Gossip swirled, some said he was too proud, others that he was tied to Amoka's spirit. One evening, as they shelled egusi seeds under the moonlight, she asked, "Chinedu, are you still waiting for Amoka?" He stirred a pot of stew, his eyes distant. "I'm not waiting, Mama. I'm just not ready for anyone else." Amoka's calls became as scarce as harmattan rain, sometimes lasting only 30 seconds. "I've been busy," she'd say, or "network here is bad." Chinedu laughed it off, pretending not to notice the growing distance. Each night, he prayed for her safety and for patience to wait without bitterness. But his hope trembled, a fragile flame in a storm. Villagers whispered, "Amoka has a man in Lagos," or "men who leave never return the same." Chinedu smiled and said, "Amoka's different," but the words felt like stones in his mouth. To distract himself, Chinedu threw himself into the annual Umudike Harvest Festival. He led the cooking, orchestrating a team of women to prepare vats of okra porridge and goat stew. His hands danced over the pots, his laughter mingling with the drum beats. The village chief praised him, saying, "Chinedu's food carries the spirit of our ancestors." A family from a neighboring village, impressed by his skills, sent their daughter to greet him, hinting at marriage. Chinedu smiled politely, his heart still tethered to Amoka. He returned home that night, his body tired but his spirit lifted, believing his loyalty would be rewarded. One hot Saturday, Chinedu headed to cook for a wedding. The bridegroom, Chigazi, was new to Umudike, his family recently settled from Okigwe. Though he didn't know him well, he offered to help, as always. He stood over a steaming pot of egusi soup, joking with the women, singing an old Igbo tune as the yam boiled. He was slicing onions when Emeka rushed in, carrying a keg of palm oil. He froze, dropping the keg with a thud. "Chinedu, come outside, now," he said, his voice urgent. "Why? What's wrong?" Chinedu asked, laughing nervously. Emeka pulled him to a quiet corner near the compound's fence. "Do you know whose wedding this is?" Chinedu shrugged, wiping sweat from his brow. "Chigazi's, ABI. I'm just here to help." Emeka bit his lip. "Do you know the bride?" Chinedu laughed. "Who cares? As long as he's happy." Emeka swallowed hard. "It's Amoka's, Chinedu. She's married. They're doing the wine carrying today." Chinedu's laughter stopped. He blinked, then smiled slowly, as if hoping it was a jest. "You're joking." Emeka sighed, his eyes heavy. "She came back 2 days ago." "I thought you knew." Chinedu's hands shook, the knife slipping from his grip. "It can't be her." He ran, his feet pounding the earth like a man chased by spirits, until he reached Amoka's family compound. The gate was open, filled with women tying colorful wrappers, men in starch agbadas, and Amoka, radiant in a shimmering oso oak, adjusting her geli as her hands gave instructions. "Amoka." Chinedu called, his voice breaking. She turned, her eyes widening in shock. "Chinedu. Is it true? Are you getting married today?" She looked away, her fingers fidgeting with her beads. "I didn't know you'd be here," she said softly. His knees buckled, and he collapsed before the crowd, the world fading to black. Chinedu woke in his bed, his head throbbing, his mother praying beside him with a wet cloth. Amoka's averted gaze haunted him like a ghost. Barefoot, he rose and walked back to the wedding compound like a man under a spell. His mother called after him, her voice trembling, but he didn't stop. The women were still cooking, stirring soup, wrapping fufu, their laughter filling the air. Chinedu walked to the pot of egusi soup and kicked it over with his bare foot. Hot broth spilled onto the sand, splashing the women's legs. They screamed, "Chinedu, are you mad?" He turned to the fufu basin, grabbed a handful of dirt, and poured it in. "He's possessed," someone shouted. Amoka's brother, Obina, ran out, his face twisted with anger. "Take him away before he causes more trouble," he ordered. The youths grabbed Chinedu, but he didn't resist or cry. His face was blank, his eyes distant, as they led him from the compound. The crowd shook their heads, whispering, "Poor boy. He thought she'd marry him." The next day, UMEDAC vibrated with one story, Chinedu's outburst. Children reenacted the scene, kicking imaginary pots and laughing until their mothers shushed them. Elders shook their heads, saying, "This kind of heartbreak isn't ordinary." Some blamed Chinedu's humility, he was too soft, that's why she climbed him like a ladder. Others pitied him, he should have asked questions. Assumption is not love. Chinedu became a shadow. He stopped cooking for weddings, ignored market days, and declined invitations to village feasts. He sat on the bamboo bed outside his mother's hut, staring at nothing, his once bright spirit dimmed. His mother tried everything, prayers, cold water, tears, but he remained silent. Emeka knelt beside him, holding his hand. "Brothers, talk to me, even if it's to curse me," he begged. Chinedu only blinked, trapped in a dream he couldn't escape. One evening, Amoka came to visit, dressed in a simple wrapper, not her wedding attire, but looking calm, like someone tying loose ends. She stood at the entrance of Chinedu's compound, clearing her throat. "Good evening, Mama," she greeted respectfully. Chinedu's mother scoffed, her eyes blazing. "You've come. I thought you finished everything yesterday." Amoka hesitated. "I want to see him, just for a moment." His mother stepped aside, her voice cold. "He hasn't spoken since yesterday. Go add salt to his wound if you like." Amoka approached Chinedu, who sat fragile, like a clay pot left in the sun too long. "Chinedu, I didn't mean to hurt you," she said softly. "I thought you knew we were just friends." His mother, overhearing, erupted. "Friends? After he cooked for your family, carried your burdens, waited like a loyal goat. You think he's a fool?" Amoka looked down, her voice trembling. "I respected you, Chinedu. You were special, but I didn't know you were waiting for me. I didn't know you turned down marriage talks because of me." His mother cut in, her voice sharp as a cutlass. "You didn't mean to destroy him. You took every good part of him and threw him into the fire when he was serving you soup." Amoka's eyes glistened with tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Chinedu stood slowly, his gaze meeting hers for a fleeting moment. The village breeze seemed to pause. Then he walked to the door, opened it, entered, and shut it quietly in her face. Chinedu's fire dimmed to embers. He moved through UMEDAC like a ghost, his laughter gone, his presence a whisper. He ignored church services, market days, and village feasts. His mother watched helplessly, her heart breaking as gossip spread. Some called Chinedu proud, others said he was cursed. But one day, he saw Mama Chika, a widow, weeping outside her hut, begging for money to buy medicine for her sick daughter. Without a word, Chinedu gave her the little cash he had and walked away before she could thank him. This act sparked something in him. Slowly, he began helping his mother sell roasted plantain again, though his smiles were rare, his words few. One afternoon, a woman named Ifeoma stopped by. A teacher visiting UMEDAC for a school roofing project, she bought plantain and grinned. "I heard your food is blessed," she said, her eyes warm. Chinedu nodded, his voice quiet. "If you don't mind smoke and palm oil stains, you're welcome." Her gentle presence began to warm his heart, though he remained cautious, his trust scarred by Amoka's betrayal. In Lagos, Amoka's marriage crumbled. Her husband, Chigazi, a fabric trader, frustrated her in too much cooking or cleaning. Their home echoed with shouts and silent treatments. Amoka cooked beans and yam before work, learned recipes from YouTube, her shirts reeking of Maggi and palm oil. She remembered Chinedu's steaming plate of jollof, sprinkled with scent leaves, and how she once forgot to say thank you. Now, she begged Chigazi to eat, only for he to frown. Why is there too much oil? Why is the meat tough? Why use this plate? She endured, knowing he'd chosen wealth over loyalty, a choice that bound her daily. Back in Umudike, Ifeoma became a regular at Chinedu's mother's store. She didn't push, but her steady visits and compliments about his cooking, his kindness, coaxed him out of his shell. One day, she said, "I dreamt of your stew last night. It was too sweet." Chinedu smiled faintly, the first real smile in months. "Then drink hot water before it builds a house there." She laughed, and he felt a spark. Ifeoma was different, vocal about her feelings, respectful of his silence. She saw him as a partner, not a convenience. Months later, Amoka returned to Umudike unannounced. She saw Chinedu at his mother's store, laughing with Ifeoma as she pointed at a roasted plantain. Amoka approached, her voice soft. "You look good, Chinedu." He nodded. "We thank God." She swallowed hard. "The woman who was here," Chinedu smiled. "We thank God for her." Amoka's eyes glistened. "I'm sorry again." He cut her off, his voice steady. "I forgive you, Amoka. Whether I forget doesn't matter anymore." He turned back to his plantain, arranging them with care. A year later, Umudike buzzed with excitement for a wedding, Chinedu's wedding. The village that once whispered about his heartbreak now gathered to celebrate his joy. Dressed in a crisp border, coral beads gleaming around his neck, Chinedu stood tall, marrying Ifeoma, who saw him as a prize, not a backup. The air was thick with the aroma of jollof rice and egusi soup, cooked by the village women who once pitied him. Children danced, elders blessed the couple, and Chinedu's mother wept tears of gratitude. That evening, as they settled into their new home in Owerri, Ifeoma brought Chinedu a plate of roasted yam and a bottle of malt. He took a bite, his eyes welling up. "I used to cook for everyone, friends, strangers, weddings," he said, his voice thick. "I'd wake before sunrise, pound yam, stir soup, wash plates till my fingers wrinkled. But nobody ever asked if I wanted to eat. Nobody fed me." Ifeoma smiled, handing him the malt. "Let me be the first." Tears of gratitude rolled down his face, his heart finally full. In Lagos, Chigazi filmed Lewandowski filmed TikTok videos about lazy wives, his voice sharp as he complained about Amoka's cooking. She stood in their kitchen, stirring a pot of stew, the smoke stinging her eyes. The same pot Chinedu once turned for her, with love and loyalty, now burned in Amoka's hands. Chinedu, once her faithful friend, had found a love that valued him, a fire rekindled, a heart made whole. Love and friendship can feel like a sweet dish, but assumptions can turn it bitter fast. Thinking you know someone's heart without asking clear questions is a trap that can lead to heartbreak. Clarity is your shield, always speak up, ask, and confirm, because silence breeds misunderstanding. Don't let unspoken words steal your peace or blind you to the truth. Learn from this story, guard your heart with open communication, and you'll save yourself from pain. Thank you for watching this story, my dear friends. Kindly share your thoughts about it in the comment section below, especially if you've ever fallen into this trap. To help others avoid this mistake, share this video with your loved ones, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Until I bring another story your way, stay wise and keep shining. Bye.